In today's book club, or what sounds less nerdy as a mastermind, but I'm still going to call it a book club, we're still going through John Maxwell's Laws of Leadership. And today we're talking about the law of respect. And John talks about how leaders gain respect. And there's 7 ways he talks about that leaders gain respect. I'll read them to you, even though I'm just going to talk about one of them. The first one is natural leadership ability, respect for others, difficulties overcome, courage, success, loyalty, and value added to others. And so often, in the groups that I'm in, we are typically high achievers, high performers, people who have a high standard of excellence for what we do. And what I know about us is that we typically don't celebrate what we do well. And we spend a lot of time working on the things that we don't do well. And so instead of saying, of those 7, what do you need to work on? I started by asking this question. Of those 7, I want you to confidently, humbly step up to the table. And I want you to share, what are you good at? How do you gain respect? How are you good at gaining respect as a leader? And I'll share for me and the story behind it. So about a year ago, I was in a conference, and my coach for the last couple of years, her name was Tracy Schunkweiler. She did an exercise with us where we all took turns sitting in the front of the room. It was an exercise of going through and with some of our peers, some of our very closest peers, saying, what I see in you is. And it was a chance to hear how other people see us, because very often we don't get to hear how do people genuinely see us. And it's my turn. I was in the front of the room, and 9 of my closest peers in coaching said, Derek, what I see in you is. Next person, Derek, what I see in you is. It's a very vulnerable exercise, and we created a very vulnerable space together to do it. I'm holding here the card in which all the characteristics were written. This is a very, very important card to me. 2 of the things that were said, of my 10 peers, 2 of them, one of them said leadership and the other said natural leader. And I remember almost a year ago sitting in the chair when the person said natural leader. I don't know who said it, but when they said natural leader, I think I almost physically sat back. Like I didn't want to receive that. I didn't want to receive the fact that somebody saw me as a natural leader. And yet how they saw me and how others saw me was as a leader. And I didn't want to accept that. I didn't want to accept the responsibility of that. I didn't want to accept the exposure of that. And so I think I've been a natural leader my whole life. And even though there's a part of me that wanted to be a natural leader, I think really there's a part of me that competing interest where I didn't want to be a natural leader. And in today's mastermind, I stepped up, and not that this is the first time I've fully embraced it, but among some of my other peers, I said, I am a natural leader. And I'm not bristling at that. I am not pushing that away. I'm accepting that. I am seeing that one of the things that I'm good at is that I am a natural leader. And as reflecting, as I put I'm a natural leader as a title to this live, I was thinking to myself, here's where my brain automatically went. If I got on Facebook and I saw that somebody started a live and the title was I'm a natural leader, my first thought, my very unfiltered first thought would be, how pretentious. What a grandiose thought. Nobody gets to say I'm a natural leader. That was my very first thought. And then I sat back and I said, God has given gifts to certain people to be natural leaders. And I see that that's one of the gifts that God has given me. And for me to shy away from it is a step down from the gift that God has given me. It's a step down. It's a step away from what God has called me to. And when I see the verse in the Bible that says, to whom much is given, much is required, I see that God has given me a natural leadership gift, natural leadership ability. And he's given me that. And in that sense, much is required for me to step up and be the leader, not just that people see me as, but be the leader that I am. And to not bristle at it, to not back down from it, but to stand up and boldly, confidently, and humbly say, I am a natural leader. When I speak, people listen. When I create masterminds, people come. When I have a webinar, people attend. When I have a 90-day challenge that we're starting on Friday to focus on creating something new, something bigger than we've ever created before in the next 90 days, people register, people attend. I'm a natural leader, and for me to step back from that is a step back from what God has given me. And what I didn't realize for most of my life was that as I was trying to shrink back into the shadows of the group and not be the leader, I was shrinking away from who God made me to be. See, my mission in life right now, I'm very, very clear, is first of all to live a faithful life so that when I get to heaven, I hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Beyond that, my mission is to elevate others around me to live in such a way that they hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And I cannot live faithfully and I cannot elevate others to live faithfully if I'm not stepping into the leadership gifts, the leadership ability that God has given me. So yes, there's a part of me that still feels as very pretentious and grandiose and proud to say, I am a natural leader. There's another part of me, and it's a part that I'm choosing to live into. It's a part that I'm choosing to create a story from. It's a part that I'm choosing to create my life from that says, I am a natural leader. That is a gift that God has given me, and I confidently and humbly am owning that gift. I'm taking radical responsibility for the leadership gifts that God has given me. I stand on the shoulder of giants. My parents, pastors, friends, professors, mentors who have poured into my life. I am standing on their shoulders, and because of them and what God has given me, the nature and the nurture, I'm a natural leader. And I'm going to lead. I'm going to lead powerfully. I'm going to lead the absolute best that I can, because when I get to heaven, I'm going to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And what I know for me is that requires me to lead faithfully. That requires me to lead consistently. That requires me to lead boldly. That requires me to step out and lead by example, lead by the front when it's not the popular thing to do. I was coaching somebody this afternoon, and I said, let me share with you a spiky truth. And that's a term that I learned from another coach. But spiky truth is a truth that can bristle some people. It's a truth that kind of sticks sometimes. But it's the spiky truths that are really the truths that really matter. And here's a spiky truth. If I don't show up at a 10 out of 10 of what I know a 10 out of 10 is when it comes to leadership, I'm selling myself short, I'm selling my God short, and I'm selling the people that I'm serving short. I'm not in the business of selling God short. I'm not in the business of selling me short or anybody else short. I am committed to radical ownership. I'm committed to showing up a 10 out of 10 every day when it comes to leadership. Now, that 10 out of 10 scale is going to grow and change as time goes on, because I anticipate that 6 months from now, I'm going to be a better leader. I'm going to be a different leader. So that 10 out of 10 scale keeps on shifting. I get that. But as the scale shifts, I intend to shift and keep up with what a 10 out of 10 looks like. That's who I'm committed to being. So if somebody ever says to me again, Derek, I see you as a natural leader, I'm not going to back away. I'm not going to bristle. I'm not going to shrink and try and push it away. I'm going to sit up straighter. I'm going to say, thank you. I know. I accept that responsibility. That's who I am. That's who God made me to be. And let's go lead. Let's go create some significant things in life. Let's go create a mission and a movement that changes and impacts the world around us, because we're not going to do that just sitting idly by, twiddling our thumbs in a mediocre life. No. God has called me to lead. And again, in a confidently and humbly way, I own that responsibility. I'm a natural leader. And today, more than ever, I see the responsibility. I see the obligation of leading powerfully. And so as I continue these lives, I'm even more presently aware of the onus of responsibility of leadership. And for those who are watching, for those who listen, it's crazy. I'm learning through this process. People are watching all the time. In fact, I got an email today from a video I recorded 3 years ago. And the lady emailed me, found me on Facebook, and said, hey, I was watching that video, and something you said really resonates with me. Can we meet sometime? I was leading back then, and I didn't really realize it. I was leading back then, and I was kind of shying away from it, and God still saw fit to use that today. And as I lean into the leadership, I'm excited, a little nervous, and excited. I think those two things go together a lot, into what God is calling me to. And I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is. But today I know that I'm accepting and embracing the natural leadership gifts that I have more than ever. My question to you is, you may not see yourself as a natural leader. Others may not see you as a natural leader. That's okay. What gift has God given you? Are you fully embracing that gift? Are you fully turning that gift into a practical step that says, here's what I'm doing with what God has given me? And if you don't know what that might look like, sometimes it's hard to see inside of your story what your gift could look like. I used to see my gift as a burden. And you might see your gift as a burden. You may not see that you have any gifts. You do have gifts. You have talents. You have things that God has bestowed on you that he intends for you to use in a very special way. And if you don't know what that is, here's an open invitation to send me a message. Say, Derek, you inspired me to figure out what my gifts are and use it for God. Can we talk? Just send me that message. I'll say yes. And we'll explore and find something that's helpful for you to put your gifts into motion for the service of God for the purpose of eternity. That's a guarantee. I will lead you powerfully like that. Have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. Oh, Matt, let me see your thing here. Being a leader is a learning process, always evolving as I'm learning day by day. Yes. What's really cool, Matt, is a couple people in the mastermind were talking about, because I asked the question at the beginning, I said, how has your view of yourself as a leader changed since we've started John Maxwell's book, and we're 7 chapters in? And a few of the people said, I'm not done growing. I have not peaked. I am not done growing in my leadership, which is so cool as a reflection, because what that tells me is 7 weeks ago, before we started this book, there was a thought somewhere in their mind that said, I'm done growing as a leader. In just a matter of weeks, we've been able, through this discussion, to open up a whole new world of possibility that leadership is a growing, evolving thing every single day. So yes, great comment, Matt. 100% in there. Yes, Matt, that's where you at. I see you. I see you there. And I'm glad you're on this journey together. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow.